and I stand here in your space, and I say this as respectfully as I can. If you don't tell black people what we need to do,
I understand what you're saying.
Also respectfully.
Yeah. Well, respectfully, if that is your position, then I will talk only to white people. We'll be back here in 10 years having the same conversation.
Don't tell me what to say.
And I'm not going to ever call on you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Wait, you want me to tell you what my husband thinks? My husband is not the Secretary of State. I am. So you ask my opinion, I will tell you my opinion. I'm not going to be channeling my husband. I suppose I could have stayed home and baked cookies and had teas, but what I decided to do was to fulfill my profession, which I entered before my husband was in public life.
Will you act on your words and address fossil fuel money in the future in your campaign? I do not. I have money for people who work for fossil fuel companies. I am so sick. I am so sick of the Sanders campaign lying about me. I'm sick of them.
And I will fight back against so-called right to work. Right to work is wrong for workers and wrong for America. Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? Well, the choice for working families has never been clearer. I need your help to get Donald Trump's record out to everybody. Nobody should be fooled. So shame on you, Barack Obama. It is time you ran a campaign consistent with your messages in public. That's what I expect from you. Meet me in Ohio. Let's have a debate about your tactics and your behavior in this campaign. I am sick and tired of the negative, dark, divisive, dangerous vision and behavior of people who support Donald Trump. It is time for us to say no. We are not going backwards. We're going forward into a brighter future. Oh, I know. The Bernie people came to say that. We're very sorry you're leaving. What difference at this point does it make? Because we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. Right, Tim? Now, you are entitled to your opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. I do hope somebody follows that gentleman out and stages an intervention. Well, first of all, stage an intervention. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
So judgment is a key.
Temperament and judgment, yes.
The word judgment has been used a lot around you, Secretary Clinton, over the last year and a half, and in particular concerning your use of your personal email and server to communicate while you were Secretary of State. You said it's a mistake. You said you made not the best choice. You were communicating on highly sensitive topics. Why wasn't it more than a mistake? Why wasn't it disqualifying if you want to be Commander-in-Chief?
Well, Matt, first of all, as I have said repeatedly, it was a mistake to have a personal account. I would certainly not do it again. I make no excuses for it. It was something that should not have been done. But the real question is the handling of classified material, which is, I think, what the implication of your question was. And for all the viewers watching you tonight, I have a lot of experience dealing with classified material, starting when I was on the Senate Armed Services Committee, going into the 4 years as Secretary of State. Classified material has a header which says top secret, secret, confidential, nothing. And I will repeat this, and this is verified in the report by the Department of Justice. None of the emails sent or received by me had such a header.
Director Comey also said this after reviewing all the information. He said, there is evidence to support a conclusion that any reasonable person in Secretary Clinton's position should have known that an unclassified system was no place for that conversation.
Well, Matt, I just respectfully point.
According to a Comcast official, the parent company of NBC Universal, who apparently was quoting those on the set, when Matt posed the one legitimate question about the FBI investigation concerning her homemade server and the unsecured emails, we could see she was beginning to boil. According to an NBC associate producer of the forum, as soon as Clinton got off the set, she exploded. Hillary proceeded to pick up a full glass of water and throw it at the face of her assistant, and then the screaming started. She was in a full meltdown, and no one on her staff dared speak with her. She went kind of manic and did not have control over herself at that point. How these people work with this woman is amazing to me. She really didn't seem to care who heard any of it.
So judgment is a key.
Temperament and judgment, yes.
You really had to see this to believe it. She came apart, literally unglued. She is the most foul-mouthed woman I've ever heard. And that voice at screech level, awful.
So judgment is a key.
Temperament and judgment, yes.
She screamed she'd get that effing Lauer fired for this. Referring to Donald Trump, Clinton said, "If that effing bastard wins, we all hang from nooses. Lauer's finished, and if I lose, it's all on your heads for screwing this up." So crooked Hillary fears the gallows, eh? Interesting.
So judgment is a key.
Temperament and judgment, yes.
Her dozen or more aides were visibly disturbed and tried to calm her down when she started shaking uncontrollably as she screamed to get an executive at Comcast, the parent company of NBC Universal, on the phone. Then two rather large aides grabbed her and helped her walk to her car. Matt Lauer was massively criticized for the rest of the week on air by the Clinton campaign and the rest of the MSM as having conducted an unfair and partisan attack on Clinton. According to the email, calls were made to the New York Times, the Washington Post, Huffington Post, and Twitter executives with orders to crush Matt Lauer. One staffer on the Clinton campaign told the NBC staff that they all fear Clinton's wrath and uncontrollable outbursts, and one described Hillary as an egotistical psychopath. Since Hillary does not allow any staff to have cell phones when she is in their presence, no footage is available. Interim DNC chairman Donna Brazile, the first black woman to hold the position, was singled out by Hillary during the rant. She screamed at Donna, "I'm so sick of your face. You stare at the wall like a brain-dead buffalo while letting that effing Lauer get away with this. What are you good for, really? Get to work. Janitoring this mess. Do I make myself clear?"
So judgment is a key.
Temperament and judgment, yes.
A female NBC executive said that Donna Brazile looked at Mrs. Clinton and never flinched, which seemed to enrage Hillary all the more. The executive continued, "It was the most awful and terrible and racist display, such a profane meltdown I've ever witnessed from anyone, and I will never forget it."
So judgment is a key.
Temperament and judgment, yes.
That woman should never see the inside of the Oval Office, I can tell you that. She was unhinged and just continued to verbally abuse everyone. She was out of control. Why did Lauer ask his rogue question? According to sources close to Lauer, because the American people deserve an answer from the former Secretary of State.
Now, having said all this, why aren't I 50 points ahead?
Here's your problem. Someone set this thing to evil.
I'm still reporting from Washington. Good day.
Well, here's what I know, not my opinion.
Okay.
About 6:30 this morning, she called an old friend. She was crying inconsolably. She couldn't stop crying. And her friend said her female friend from way, way back, said it was even hard to understand what she was saying. She was crying so hard. This is Hillary we're talking about. Eventually, her friend said she could make out that she was blaming James Comey, the director of the FBI, for her loss, and this I don't understand exactly, the President of the United States for not doing enough.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Now, when I said to the source, what did she mean by that? She said, well, Hillary felt that the president could have stopped Comey a long time ago because that's what Bill
Oh, so
said.
not that he didn't campaign enough, but
Yeah.
that he didn't do enough within the realm of the FBI investigation.
Yes, exactly.
Huh.
I mean, you know, with the Clintons, and especially with Hillary, it's never her fault.
Well, of course. Do you think she went to bed early, not thinking she won, but because she, went to bed and then woke up at 6:30, found out, and called her friend?
No.
No,
I mean,
she stayed up all night. You
She
think?
stayed
Yeah.
up all night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but with the Clintons, it's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
And it's been this way with Hillary all her career.
The way I read Genesis, Cain was marked. Therefore, I believe in white supremacy. I believe in white and white and white and white and white. I believe in white supremacy.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up.
You voted against the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Would you do so today?
I would have to vote against it.
In 1964, during the presidential election of that year, I was a Goldwater girl. I mean, really, we used to wear, little banners which said Goldwater girl.
Then they'd have to talk about the Clintons' past. The same Confederate flag Bree Newsom took down from above the South Carolina State House represents the exact same slave-owning and traitorous Confederacy for which Bill Clinton signed a resolution stating that the highest star on the Arkansas flag represented. To this day, they still have an official Confederate Flag Day. And not only did Bill and Hillary never say anything about this, but for 12 years, they celebrated the Confederacy too.
Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility, and I will remember him for many things. It is almost impossible to imagine the United States Senate without Robert Byrd. He was not just its longest-serving member, he was its heart, its soul, and its historian. not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. 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 Bring them to heel.
We have forgiven you for your boasting of your support among working, hardworking Americans, white Americans.
Senator Obama's support among working, hardworking Americans, white Americans, is weakening again.
Today is the 12th of January 2016, 6 years after the earthquake. And for us, it was important to be in front of the Clinton Foundation because Bill Clinton, as head of the interim Haiti Recovery Commission, was responsible for the $6 billion. He had unlimited control of this money. 6 years after the earthquake, Haiti is in worse condition than it was in 2010. Only Bill Clinton can tell the world what happened with this money.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material.
110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
I provided all my emails that could possibly be work-related.
Several thousand work-related emails that were not among the group of 30,000 emails returned by Secretary Clinton.
I thought using one device would be simpler.
She also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email.
There were no security breaches.
It is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
It was my practice to communicate with State Department and other government officials on their .gov accounts.
Hostile actors gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account.
No doubt that we've done exactly what we should have done.
They were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
People will be able to judge for themselves.
We cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
To be clear, this is not to suggest that in similar circumstances, a person who engaged in this activity would face no consequences.
Americans will find that, interesting, and I look forward to having a discussion about that.
For years, Hillary Clinton and President Obama have blamed the deaths of 4 Americans in Benghazi on a YouTube video that incited out-of-control protesters.
Some have sought to justify this vicious behavior along with the protest that took place at our embassy in Cairo yesterday as a response to inflammatory material posted on the internet.
The natural protests that arose because of the outrage over the video were used as an excuse by extremists.
Brand new evidence from Hillary's own email prove that was a lie. There were no protests.
If there's no evidence for a video-inspired protest, then where'd the false narrative start? It started with you, Madam Secretary. But what troubles me more is I think you knew the truth. Within 24 hours, you had a conversation with the Egyptian Prime Minister. You told him this: we know the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest. Let me read that one more time. We know, not we think, not it might be, we know the attack in Libya had nothing to do with the film. It was a planned attack, not a protest. State Department experts knew the truth. You knew the truth. But that's not what the American people got.
Kelly then voiced what millions of Americans feel towards Mrs. Clinton and the administration.
This is what drives people crazy. It drives them crazy. Why not just come out and lay it out? This is what makes people distrust not just these politicians, but Washington, but the administration, but anybody who even raises their hand and testifies under oath, believing you're not being straight with me.
You say that you play straight up, but I have to ask you because you were accused of receiving a debate question before a CNN town hall where they partnered with TV One, and that you had this question on March 12th. That verbatim was provided by Roland Martin to CNN the next day. How did you get that question, Donna?
Well, Kelly, since I play straight up, and I'll play straight up with you, I did not receive any questions from CNN. Let's just be
Where'd you
very
get it?
clear.
Where did you get it?
First of all, what information are you providing to me that will allow me to see what you're talking about? Everybody
You got the
is
WikiLeaks
leaking
released a
private
March 12th
information.
Podesta email showing you messaging the Clinton campaign with the exact wording of a question asked at the March 13th CNN TV1 town hall debate.
Kelly,
Where did you get it?
You know, as a Christian woman, I understand persecution, but I will not sit here and be persecuted because your information is totally false. What you're telling the American people, Podesta's emails were stolen. You're so interested in talking about stolen
So you deny
material.
it?
You're like a thief that want to bring into the night the things that you found that was in the gutter. I'm not. Let me just tell you what I said from day
CNN's
one.
Jake Tapper
Kelly,
came out and said this was unethical. Somebody was unethically helping the Clinton campaign. He said, "I love Donna Brazile, but this is very, very upsetting."
And
my understanding is that the
CNN
email
and
to
I
Donna
love
Brazile, this is Jake Tapper. My understanding is that the email to Donna Brazile came from either Roland Martin or someone around Roland Martin. He said, "This is very upsetting and very troubling." That's your own colleague at CNN. It's not Megyn Kelly. Who gave you that question?
Megan, once again, I've said it, and I've said it on the record, and I'll say it on the record, and I'll keep saying it on the record. I am not going to try to validate falsified information. I have my documents. I have my files. Thank God I have not had my personal emails ripped off from me and stolen and given to some criminals to come back altered.
You were against same-sex marriage, now you're for it. You defended President Obama's immigration policies, now you say they're too harsh. You supported his trade deal dozens of times. You even called it the gold standard. Now suddenly last week you're against it. Will you say anything to get elected?
Well, actually, I have been very consistent over the course of my entire life. I have always fought for the same values and principles.
Do you think New York State should recognize gay marriage?
No.
No. Okay.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman.
I have not supported same-sex marriage. I have supported civil partnerships and contractual relationships.
I support marriage for lesbian and gay couples. I support it personally and as a matter of policy and law.
Just in July, New Hampshire, you told the crowd you, quote, take a backseat to no one when it comes to progressive values.
I take a backseat to no one when you look at my record and standing up and fighting for progressive values.
Last month in Ohio, you said you plead guilty to, quote, being kind of moderate and center. Do you change your political identity based on who you're talking to?
No, I think that, like most people that I know, I have a range of views, but they are rooted in my values and my experience.
You know, I get accused of being kind of moderate and center. I plead guilty.
Just for the record, are you a progressive or are you a moderate?
I'm a progressive.
I support the Second Amendment. I don't want your guns.
So for the federal government to be having any kind of blanket rules that they're going to try to impose, I think doesn't make sense.
And when it comes to guns, we have just too many guns on the streets, in our homes, in our neighborhoods. We've got to go after this. And here again, the Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment. And I am going to make that case every chance I get. So I will need your help on that. Several communities have done gun buyback programs. But I think it would be worth considering doing it on the national level. But certainly the Australian example is worth looking at.
Will you say anything to get elected?
Going through the emails, there were over 60,000 in total sent and received. About half were work-related and went to the State Department, and about half were personal that were not in any way related to my work.
When you speak to the public, you say, I turned over everything. That's, for the most part, a direct quote. When you talk to the public, you say I turned over everything.
90 to 95% of my work-related emails were in the state system. If they wanted to see them, they would certainly have been able to do so.
You know what? That is maybe the 10th time you have cited that figure today.
It is.
And I have not heard anyone other than you ever cite that figure. Who told you that 90 to 95% of your emails were in the State Department system? Who told you that?
We learned that from the State Department in their analysis of the emails that were already on the system.
The Inspector General report found that less than 1% of State Department emails, record emails, were captured. So they give a number of less than 1%, and you give a number of 90%.
This pile represents the emails that you sent or received about Libya in 2011, from February through December of 2011. This pile represents the emails you sent or received from early 2012 until the day of the attack. There are 795 emails in this pile. We've counted them. There are 67 emails in this pile in 2012. And I'm troubled by what I see here. I can only conclude by your own records that there was a lack of interest in Libya in 2012.
The server contains personal communications from my husband and me.
Only time I got on the internet, I did 2 emails, and I ordered Christmas presents from a reservation. Otherwise, I found people said embarrassing things on emails. I didn't want to be one of them.
Why did you mention the Secret Service agent?
Did Hillary Clinton lie under oath?
Not to the FBI, not in a case we're working.
Did you review the documents where Congressman Jim Jordan asked her specifically, and she said, quote, "There was nothing marked classified on my emails, either sent or received," end quote?
I don't remember reviewing that particular testimony. I'm aware of that being said, though.
Did the FBI investigate her statements under oath on this topic?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think there's been a referral from Congress.
Do you need a referral from Congress to investigate her statements under oath?
Sure do.
You'll have one. You'll have one in the next few hours.
17,500 emails that she lied about turning over. The server wipe. Within weeks of there being a report that she had a private server, it was wiped. She thought that C, which stands for classified, stood for cookie or something, which stands for classified. She thought that drone strikes are not classified. She said that the reason she used this private server is for convenience, and that she only had one device. She used 13 BlackBerries, let me finish, and 5 iPads. This is somebody who is absolutely disqualified from becoming president. They destroyed BlackBerries with hammers in the State Department. That's not what we want the presidency.
Actually,
and
Evan,
hold on.
Can you fact check that? Hang on, Evan Perez. Hammers, fact check that for me, please, on the fly.
Yes, they did, Brooke. As you mentioned, there were 13 devices, mobile devices, and 5 iPads that the FBI said that, you know, in some way were used with her private email server, and they did, in some cases, just destroy them with hammers when they were done using them.
The big ones, the obvious ones, like blaming Benghazi on a YouTube video after the fact, when we know that to be false. Or, of course, the email server. Those are obvious. But when I say sociopath, or at the very least, a compulsive liar, what we point to are lies that are made constantly that don't really matter when people aren't paying attention. But she lies anyway. Like claiming Chelsea Clinton was jogging around the World Trade Center on 9/11. That was a lie. Like claiming that she landed under sniper fire in Bosnia, just like Brian Williams' helicopter story. That was a lie. Like her claiming that she was named after Sir Edmund Hillary because he was one of the first people to climb Mount Everest. That's a lie. Edmund Hillary did not climb Mount Everest until Hillary Clinton was 6 years old. So either she has a DeLorean or she's a compulsive liar. 12-year-old girl raped in Arkansas. Hillary Clinton, who was recorded on audio tape, acknowledged that she was aware of her client's guilt and is even quoted as saying, "He took a lie detector test. I had him take a polygraph, which he passed," which forever destroyed my faith in polygraphs. Clinton says in the recording, failing to hold back some chuckles. Hillary Clinton has taken unbelievable sums of cash in foreign donations to the Clinton Foundation. Not only could this potentially be illegal, but if you look at the list of countries with whom she has a cozy relationship, for a woman who claims to be a champion of women's rights, they don't really have a stellar track record with women's rights, gay rights, or rights. Some countries that gave massive multi-million-dollar sums to the Clinton Foundation include Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Qatar, Qatar, however you say it, Kuwait, Algeria, and more. I know that all politicians have some money coming in from unsavory characters, but it pales in comparison to the way Clintons have handled their money and foreign donations.
And she was just holding on to my hand. She didn't, because I had started to turn away from her. And she held on to my hand, and she said, "Do you understand everything that you do?" I mean, cold chills went up my spine. That's the first time I became afraid of that woman.
You interpret that to mean she knew about the incident?
I certainly do. I think she's always known. I think she's always covered up for him.
What Mr. Clinton did to me was wrong. And she knew what her husband did to those women. There's no way that she did not know that. They're just not truthful people. And it's been a history of knowing that they're not.
We've got to do several things, and I am, adamantly against illegal immigrants. I made this exception basically on humanitarian grounds because of the individual stories, but certainly we've got to do more at our borders, and people have to stop employing illegal immigrants.
Well, look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in.
Instead of building walls, we need to be tearing down barriers.